Good day, everyone. This is Yolandi from the Bible in 1 Year. Today we are reading from Leviticus chapter 12, a chapter that may seem strange at first glance as it deals with ritual purification after childbirth. To truly understand the chapter, it is important to understand the concept of holiness, ritual purity, and worship according to the Old Testament standards. In verses 2 to 4, we read about the ritual impurity after giving birth to a son. It is important to note that ritual impurity was not the same as personal sin. So, within the context of this chapter, giving birth was not seen as sin, although an offering was still required. After giving birth to a male child, a mother was considered ritually unclean for a period of 40 days in total. On the 8th day after birth, the boy would be circumcised, according to a statute that the Lord had given to Abraham in Genesis 17, verse 2. This was a sign of the covenant God made with Abraham and his covenant descendants. When we study the laws in the Old Testament, we realize that many of the laws had a practical element. In ancient Israel, circumcision, for example, had hygienic value as well. And in a quite recent study conducted by S.I. Macmillan in 1949, he found that Jewish women had much lower rates of cervical cancer than other ethnic groups, all because they had circumcised husbands. In verse 5, we read that the period of ritual impurity after giving birth to a girl was a total of 80 days, double that of giving birth to a boy. This period of ceremonial uncleanness should be seen in the same light as maternity leave today. During this period, the mother was relieved from many social obligations, giving her some well-deserved time to rest and bond with her newborn baby. So, yet again, we can see that childbirth was not a sin, but that this period of ritual impurity was rather God's way of taking care of the emotional well-being of the mother. In verses 6 to 8, we read about the purification rite for cleansing after childbirth. The mother had to take 2 offerings to the priest, one as a burnt offering and one as a sin offering. As you can remember from Leviticus chapter 1, the burnt offering represents our total surrender and dedication to God. And from Leviticus chapter 4, the sin offering represents our cleansing and forgiveness before God. And the practical application of this in Leviticus chapter 12 is that the purification rites symbolized a return to a state appropriate for approaching God's sanctuary. The burnt offering expressed thanksgiving for surviving childbirth, a dangerous event in the ancient world. And it also indicated that the mother promised to raise the child according to God's laws, totally dedicated to his standard of holiness. The sin offering was not to acknowledge guilt of any kind, but according to David Guzik, it was rather to indicate that the mother gave birth to a sinful human being. The offering was to make atonement for the child. The sacrifice marked the end of her time of ceremonial impurity, so the mother was considered clean again, ready to resume her duties, but also ready to transition back into full participation in the covenant community's worship. Imagine if every single believer still observed childbirth this way. How different maternity leave would be viewed, and how serious the task of raising a child would be taken if we made an official offering to promise that we would raise our children in total dedication to God. Think about it. May you all have a blessed day. Goodbye.